Hello, welcome back to my daily Transcontinental Race updates. We're now on to day 5, so let's take a look at the tracker and have a little update as to what's been going on. And you can see that the race is kind of it's got a pretty firm structure now. We've got these 5 riders up front. You will note there was kind of 6 in this little group yesterday. We'll come on to that as to why Justinas Levejka's dropped back a bit in a second. But you can see up the front, the 2 riders who've pretty much been leading from the start, Nicolas Chatelet, Martin Moritz, they've closed up quite a bit, and we'll get into why in a second. And then Victor Bozzoni and Christoph Strasser seem to be kind of in a little pair, a little bit of distance behind. But we're talking maybe, less than 50k between the front of the race and Christoph in 4th. So essentially, I'd say at this stage of the race, they're all pretty much neck and neck. A little bit further, David Chan, he's not too far off the pace. Again, I'll come on to why I don't think it matters too much in a few minutes. And then there's this kind of second chase pack. A few riders over the parkour now, a couple of riders at CP3. And Justinas Levejka, he was a lot closer yesterday. But he seems to have made a routing choice or potentially an error. We'll put his track on. I'll also show you Christoph Strasser's track. If I can find him, zoom out a little bit. Where are they? Over here. I'll put Christoph Strasser's track on and Nico's track as well, because they all had slightly different approaches in through the Alps and to that CP3. So I shall show you those in a second and dig into them a little bit. Before I go any further, I do just have to say thank you to Pock. They've actually got an end of season sale up on their website, up to 50% on some of the older lines. However, if you just want a discount on some of the newer stuff, there's also a 20% discount code you can get up in the description here as well. So yeah, check out the Pock website. Loads of really cool stuff. And yeah, I've been using it for a good number of years. The helmets and glasses in particular, whether it's road, mountain bike, gravel, or even if you want to do some time trialing. They've got all the kit to cover you. So yeah, check out Pock, and a big thank you, as always, for sponsoring this daily coverage. So back to the route, and you can see, let's just look at the resource map to start with. So there's obviously these band roads, and one in particular I think has maybe become the sticking point for Justinas. So you can see between Gap here and basically Briançon, this main N94 road is banned, but there is, if you zoom in quite a lot, there is a bit of a side road that you can kind of take, and there is a small gap in the banned road. If you zoom along here, you can see there's this, maybe a kilometre, less than a kilometre, not even 500 metres of this banned road, which allows you to cross the river and connect up this D994 and the D38, and it looks like that's the route of choice basically. So if we go back to the tracker, you can see the approaches into the Alps varied a little bit. There's some people went a bit more south. So Nicholas went the southernmost route. You can see Christoph's track here is the central one. And then Justinas just went really far north. So Justinas has essentially chosen to avoid that banned area altogether. I suspect it might have just been a little bit of inexperienced planning, and he's seen the banned road and basically tried to avoid it. But if you do zoom in, you can see that pretty much everyone has taken the same route through here. This is the banned road here, and yeah, you can thread your way through. This is the crossing point with the little gap that we saw, and yeah, pretty much everyone apart from Justinas so far has taken that route. Justinas, I can see the logic. He's gone further north, and he's gone up the Rhone. I think this is the Rhone Valley, up to Grenoble, and then sort of looped in from the north. It actually is probably quite a bit flatter. So sometimes there is logic in going on the flatter, longer way. But I think in this particular instance, the extra distance is just not paid off. So he's dropped back quite a bit, and I suspect he's lost a couple of hours. You can see that on Ride with GPS here. It just gives you a bit more detail. I put the terrain map on. And you can see basically he would have pretty much from Avignon through Valence been pretty much flat. There was a bit of wind, though looking at some of the updates through Grenoble, and then I think it's the Lautrey, the col that goes into Briançon through here. Not very difficult, just long and steady, and then dropping down. So he would have picked up a bit of speed into Brain-Son, but I think that the extra distance, I've not actually run the two kind of routes together, but I suspect he's just lost out a couple of hours there, which has dropped him back, which is unfortunate for Justinus. So yeah, he's dropped back in this pack. But as I'll come on to in a minute, I'm not necessarily sure that's going to be a major problem. Jana Kassenheimer, she is she's doing great. So she's leading at the moment. So she's just approaching this parcours by the looks of it. So just on the climb up to Sestriere now. Jana's an excellent climber as well. So I suspect that through the mountains, she's probably going to extend the lead a little bit over Cynthia. So Cynthia's a really strong rider. I suspect the flats are going to suit her a bit more. Ibiana's excellent on gravel. Cynthia's won numerous gravel races as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that battle sort of develops. And then Leah Wilcox is sitting in third. She's on that gravel bike we saw, so I would expect her to close down a bit of time. Cynthia is also on a gravel bike, but maybe not. Her tyres aren't quite as wide as Lael's. So I suspect Lael may be able to cover the gravel section, certainly the descent down the Colle de Finestra to the actual checkpoint here a little bit quicker. If I just get a Riber GPS on again, we can zoom in. Here we go. So you can see the control point is actually down here in Susa. So the rider's basically on this really high altitude old military road. We'll get on the social medias to show a bit of some of the earlier riders through. And then there's quite a long fast descent down the Colle de Finestra. The top half is gravel, the bottom half is tarmac. But this section here, I remember just doing it in 2015 on 28mm tyres, and I just got shaken to bits. So certainly the wider your tyres on this section, the faster you'll be able to descend, and that will gain you some time. So we'll see how that works out. No one seems to have had any major problems so far. So yeah, it's all kind of it's getting quite excited. I've been really locked on the dots on this particular TCR. A little bit further back, Jamie Wilson, she's taken that a bit more of a southern route down into the Alps. She's in fourth. Again, she's not a million miles back. And the reason I think that these gaps don't necessarily mean too much at the moment is there is going to be a ferry crossing. So coming up, the riders now, you can see the lead riders are in Italy and heading down that coast towards Tuscany. The first parcours is a double parcours. So you can see here there's the riders will essentially have to pass through Siena, and it's looping round. It's similar to the Strada Bianchi race. If you're into pro road cycling, there's lots of quite smooth gravel roads in Tuscany, and this parcours takes in a load of those. It's quite hilly, and then the riders have to basically link up with this second part of the parcours here from Precentro with the checkpoint itself. And you can see from the map here, I'll put Riber GPS on. You can see here on Riber GPS, it's very mountainous, and there's quite a few band roads as well. Again, I'll just zoom out and show you here. So yeah, there's a few roads in here that you've got to try and avoid, and essentially it's just forcing the riders to sort of basically take some climbs rather than some of the bigger roads which might tunnel through. So yeah, it's going to be lumpy. They've got to basically cross the spine of Italy. I think it's going to be slower than expected, but that's going to leave riders down here, and ferries are allowed, and the next checkpoint is just across the water near Durrës. So there's a ferry from Bari to Durrës, and I think this is probably the ferry that most people are going to take. There is potentially one to Bar, although when I checked it last year, it wasn't running, or Dubrovnik, but that's a bit too far north. So at the moment, I think it's going to be probably the best part of 2 days. So it's Friday evening as we speak. The ferry that I think they're going to aim for is probably Sunday. So I've basically pulled up the timetables here on Ferry Hopper. I doubt they'll get the midnight one on Saturday. So if we just move forward to Sunday, you can see there's a 1 o'clock ferry. I think it's going to be very tight for anyone to get that. Basically, I think if you get that ferry, the race is pretty much won, because I think anyone who gets it will just like sneak onto it. I think a lot of them are going to be aiming for this midnight ferry. So, you know, if the gap to Justinus is 5 or 6 hours, you know, if these guys turn up and just miss the 1 o'clock ferry and have to wait all afternoon for the midnight ferry, then Justinus could just roll up and catch it. So there's going to be a pause at some point. I doubt anyone's just going to roll up to this port and get straight on a ferry. There's going to be a wait of, you know, you want to be at least an hour before, maybe 2. So you're going to have to wait a little bit. So I think the race will get split up into chunks, and then there'll be lots of mini races the other side. The interesting thing as well, if anyone misses that midnight ferry on Sunday, if we go to Monday, there is only one ferry, so they'll have to wait 24 hours if they miss it. So if they miss it by an hour or so, that's a really, really long wait, and that could be absolutely decisive. The Tuesday, again, there only seems to be one ferry, and it's not until Wednesday, and I guess this is when most of the pack will be arriving, that there's 2 again, so 1 o'clock and basically midnight. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I did also check out Brindisi Vlore. So this, if we just go over to Ribe GPS, you can see Brindisi just a little bit further south. Vlore's down here. That's going to put the riders quite a bit south of the parkour. It is flat in that part of Albania, but yeah, it's more planning they have to do on the fly if they end up going there, and the ride distance is probably going to balance out that it's not worth riding down there to get that ferry and then ride up. They might as well have a longer wait in Bari and go across to Durrës. But there is, if you came in on Monday, there is a 12 o'clock ferry, so it might be worth going down to do it, and it's only a 5-hour ferry, but there'll be probably an extra 8-9 hours riding on top of that. So yeah, choices need to be made, and the ferry game's going to be pretty crucial, I think, in this race. And so the next couple of days and this riding through Italy is going to be key, because if you miss that ferry, you're not going to win the race. So I think they're all racing for Sunday night at the moment. So we'll see if they get there. If they don't, it's going to be very interesting. If they all miss the Sunday night ferry, they're all going to be waiting until Monday. So then a lot of riders will be there together. And then that's a whole different ball game. So yeah, it's quite a fascinating edition of the TCR this time. So let's crack on. I'm a bit late today, so I'm not going to hold it too much longer. So let's get on to the social media. Start with the Transcontinental Race page. So this is the update from the TCR. We've already talked about Justinus's let's say faux pas. So this is what Justinus is saying: I have no idea where I am or what I'm doing. The King of Chaos prefers not to look at the tracker in case he's disappointed by his route chase. A mistake he made yesterday when he veered far north from the flow of his competitors and knowing only played with his head. So yeah, I mean, I think it probably was a mistake on Justinus's part. Whether he noticed or not and it was too late to rectify, I'm not sure. But yeah, that was a planning faux pas, and it just goes to show how important it is to plan well on the TCR. But yeah, look at this. It's a beautiful road. I've ridden it a couple of times. And yeah, absolutely spectacular. There's Justinus. He's still smiling. Justinus is always smiling, so good for him. And yeah, so that's the riders on the parkour there. Only a couple of other little stories today. So this is Victor. And you can see, it just gives you a little bit of example of what these guys are riding on. Not super rough, but there are quite a few lots of stones and things. So if you are kind of tired or catch a stone or one of these rocks too fast, you could potentially damage a tyre. So you've got to be careful. But Victor looks like he's pushing hard. And as we know, he's winning that points jersey at the moment as well for the fastest time across all the sectors. So it looks like he's pushing quite hard on there. Let's hope he doesn't lose his rain jacket hanging out his back pocket though. So yeah, that's Victor up there. Again, some dot watchers out on course. So yeah, all looking good. And again, more dot watchers. He's got some fans, Victor. So yeah, looking strong on there. And finally, I'm just going to round it up with Martin. Yeah, he's obviously sounds like he loved it on that parkour. If you've not ridden much off-road, it's probably a pretty fascinating experience. Again, this is one of the climbs up. Looks like he's going up there early in the morning. It does look beautiful. It's a beautiful part of the world, certainly when the sun's shining. Looks like he split a bottle in his rear pack, so he's had to dry everything. So he's got his tail fin pack there, and the good thing about tail fin packs are that they're waterproof, but the problem is when you spill water inside your pack, it means that the water stays in there. So he's just had to dry everything out, including his passport and his brevet card by the look of it. So hopefully that's not going to cause him any issues. And then looking like, it's heading, if we go to the track, you can see a lot of them have gone through Turin. And suddenly the rhythm changes. So you've been in the mountains, just pedaling on, fairly consistent. And then suddenly you've got like traffic lights, traffic, you're on and off the pedals. That can cause issues when your legs, when you're stopping and starting and getting moving. So yeah, something to bear in mind. And then I also found this. He apparently had a bit of a rant on the podcast, the TCR podcast. I've not heard it myself. Just saying that there was a lack of actual race analysis, things like tactics, route choices, and so on for the leading men and women. So yeah, maybe you should listen to this, Martin. So yeah, if anyone knows Martin, tell him I'm here. But yeah, he's doing a great ride, and yeah, that's pretty much it for today. As I said, running a little bit late this evening, so I'll be back again tomorrow with another update. It's going to be super exciting. So yeah, stay tuned. See you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.